What if the reason you haven't found the peace, love, and happiness you're seeking is precisely because you're seeking them? What if everything you've been chasing has been running away from you? Not because you're not worthy, but because chasing is the very energy that repels what you desire. And what if there's an ancient Buddhist principle that can teach you how to stop exhausting yourself in pursuit and instead become a magnet for everything you truly want? Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to reveal the one shift in energy that transforms you from a desperate chaser into a natural attractor. And once you understand this, your entire life will begin to align in ways you never imagined possible. If you're tired of the endless pursuit and ready to discover how to attract peace, love, and abundance by becoming rather than chasing, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share transformative Buddhist wisdom every week that can genuinely change how you experience life. Now, let's explore this profound teaching together. Think about the energy of chasing. Picture someone running after something, arms outstretched, breathing hard, desperate to catch what keeps slipping away. There's a quality of need in that image, of lack, of incompleteness. The very act of chasing communicates, I don't have this, I need this, I'm incomplete without this. And that energy, that frequency of desperation and lack, it actually repels what you're pursuing. Not because the universe is cruel, but because energy attracts like energy. When you're chasing from a place of feeling incomplete, you attract more experiences of incompleteness. When you're grasping from a place of fear of not having, you attract more experiences of not having. Now picture a completely different energy. Imagine someone who is already complete, already at peace, already full. They're not chasing anything because they already embody the qualities they desire. And because of that fullness, because of that completeness, people and opportunities are naturally drawn to them. They're magnetic. They attract without effort because they've become the energy they wish to experience. This is what Buddhism means by don't chase, attract. It's not about manipulating or forcing outcomes. It's about fundamentally shifting your internal state from lack to abundance, from need to wholeness, from chasing to being. Most of us have been taught the exact opposite. We've been taught that happiness is something out there that we need to pursue and capture. We've been taught that love is something we need to find and hold on to desperately. We've been taught that peace is a destination we'll reach once we've achieved enough, acquired enough, fixed enough about ourselves. And so we spend our lives in pursuit mode, always reaching, always striving, always feeling like we're not quite there yet. And that perpetual state of reaching, that constant energy of chasing, it's exhausting. More importantly, it doesn't work. Because the very energy of chasing ensures you never arrive. The Buddha understood this profoundly. He taught that tanha, often translated as craving or thirst, is the root of suffering. When you're in a constant state of craving, of chasing after the next thing you think will make you happy, you're in a state of suffering, because you're essentially telling yourself in every moment, this, right now, is not enough. I'm not enough, I need something else to be okay. And that message, repeated thousands of times a day, creates a deep existential anxiety and emptiness. You're literally training yourself to feel incomplete. But Buddhism offers a radical alternative. Instead of chasing what you want, become it. Instead of pursuing peace, become peaceful. Instead of seeking love, become loving. Instead of running after happiness, cultivate joy within yourself. This isn't just positive thinking or affirmation. This is a fundamental shift in how you relate to life and to yourself. When you stop chasing and start embodying, everything changes. You move from a state of lack to a state of abundance. You move from desperation to magnetism. You move from pushing to attracting. Let me give you a concrete example that many people can relate to. You want a romantic relationship. You feel lonely, incomplete, like something essential is missing from your life. So, what do? You go into chase mode. You're on dating apps. You're saying yes to every setup. You're analyzing every interaction for signs of potential. You're strategizing how to be more attractive or interesting. And underlying all of this activity is an energy of need. I need someone to complete me. I'm not whole on my own. I'm lacking something that another person can provide. And people feel that energy, even if unconsciously, and it's repellent. Nobody wants to be needed that desperately. Nobody wants to be someone else's solution to their emptiness. But what if you took a completely different approach? What if you said, I'm going to focus on becoming so full, so complete, so at peace with myself that a relationship would be wonderful but not necessary. I'm going to cultivate the qualities I want in a partner within myself first. I want someone kind, I'll become more kind. I want someone interesting, I'll develop my own interests deeply. I want someone at peace, I'll cultivate my own inner peace. And as you do this work, as you shift from chasing to becoming, something remarkable happens. You become magnetic. Because you're no longer operating from emptiness trying to extract wholeness from others. You're operating from fullness, and you're sharing that fullness. And that energy attracts. You might meet someone naturally when you're not even looking, or you might realize you're actually deeply content on your own, or perhaps both. This same principle applies to every area of life. You want financial abundance? Instead of desperately chasing money from a place of lack and fear, cultivate an inner sense of abundance and gratitude for what you have. Become generous even with little. Appreciate what is. Trust that you'll always have what you need. That shift in consciousness from scarcity to abundance actually opens you up to receiving more because you're no longer blocking flow with desperate grasping. You want inner peace? Stop chasing peak experiences, perfect circumstances, or the right meditation technique that will finally make you peaceful. Start cultivating peace right now, in this imperfect moment, with all its challenges and imperfections. Be peace, embody peace, and watch how that internal peace begins to transform your external experience. The key to this entire teaching is understanding that you are already complete. You already have within you everything you need for deep fulfillment. The peace you're seeking isn't out there. It's not in some future achievement or acquisition. It's already here, within you, waiting to be discovered and embodied. You've just been so busy chasing external things that you haven't noticed the treasure you've been carrying inside you all along. Buddhism is essentially pointing you back to yourself, back to your inherent wholeness, back to the completeness that's always been there. But our culture makes this incredibly difficult to see because we're constantly bombarded with messages of lack. Every advertisement is designed to make you feel incomplete, so you'll buy something to complete yourself. Every social media feed shows you what others have that you don't, triggering comparison and inadequacy. The entire consumer economy depends on you feeling like you're not enough, and that you need to acquire something external to become enough. So, recognizing your inherent completeness, your already present wholeness, is actually a radical act. It's going against the current of everything our culture is trying to program into you. This is where Buddhist practices become essential because they're tools for reconnecting with your inherent wholeness, for shifting from chasing to being, from lack to abundance. Meditation is fundamentally a practice of being rather than doing. When you sit in meditation, you're not trying to achieve some special state or get somewhere. You're simply being present with what is. You're resting in your own awareness, discovering that underneath all the mental chatter and emotional turbulence, There's a deep stillness and peace that doesn't depend on external circumstances. The more you practice meditation, the more you realize that peace isn't something you need to create or acquire. It's something you already are when you stop all the frantic doing and chasing. And that realization, that experience of your own inherent peace and completeness, it changes everything. You start to live from that place of wholeness rather than from lack. You engage with the world not because you need it to complete you, but because you have something to offer. You pursue goals and engage in activities not from desperate grasping, but from inspired action. There's a lightness to your engagement because you're not attached to specific outcomes in the same desperate way. You can want things, work toward things, desire things, but you're okay whether you get them or not because your fundamental okayness isn't dependent on them. Mindfulness, another core Buddhist practice, trains you to be present with what is, rather than always mentally projected into some future moment when things will supposedly be better. When you're mindful, you're here now, fully engaged with this moment, this breath, this experience. And when you're truly present, you often discover that this moment, exactly as it is actually enough. Maybe even more than enough. Maybe actually quite beautiful in ways you've been too distracted to notice while you were busy chasing. Mindfulness reveals the richness of ordinary moments that you've been rushing past in your pursuit of extraordinary ones. Gratitude is another powerful practice for shifting from chasing to attracting. When you practice gratitude, you're training your attention to notice what you already have rather than fixating on what you lack. And what you give attention to grows. If you constantly focus on what's missing, what you don't have, what you're chasing, you'll experience more of that lack. But if you regularly focus on what's present, what you do have, what's working in your life, you experience more abundance. And from that sense of abundance, from that recognition of how much you already have, you naturally attract more. Not through magical thinking, but through the simple fact that you're no longer blocking reception with the contracted energy of desperate pursuit. The Buddhist understanding of karma is also relevant here. Karma isn't some cosmic reward and punishment system. Karma simply means that actions have consequences, that what you put out comes back, that you create your experience through your thoughts, words, and deeds. When you're constantly chasing from a place of lack, when your energy is one of desperate need, that's what you're putting out. And that's what comes back to you, more experiences of chasing, more feelings of lack. But when you shift to embodying wholeness, to living from abundance, to giving rather than taking, to being rather than chasing, you're putting out a completely different energy, and that's what returns to you. Think about someone you know who seems to naturally attract good things, opportunities, relationships, experiences. They're probably not desperately chasing any of it. They're probably living from a place of genuine contentment and fullness. They're engaged with life, they have goals and desires, but there's no desperate quality to their pursuit. They're okay whether things work out or not. And that energy of okayness, of non-attachment to outcomes, of inner peace regardless of circumstances, that's magnetic. That's what attracts. Now, here's a question I want you to sit with deeply, and please share your reflection in the comments. What have you been chasing in your life that you've been unable to catch? And what would it feel like to stop chasing it and instead embody the quality you think that thing would give you? For example, if you've been chasing a relationship thinking it will give you love, what would it feel like to become so loving to yourself and others that you already feel full of love? Share below, because this reflection can be a turning point. As you practice meditation, mindfulness, and gratitude, as you shift from chasing to embodying, you'll naturally start to let go of things that have been weighing you down. Old resentments, unnecessary possessions, toxic relationships, limiting beliefs. the constant mental chatter about what's wrong or what's missing. This letting go isn't forced or effortful. It happens naturally as you recognize that these things don't serve you, that they're heavy burdens you've been carrying unnecessarily. And as you release them, you become lighter, more spacious, more open. You create space for new things to enter, for grace to flow, for opportunities to appear. There's a beautiful Buddhist teaching about having an empty cup. If your cup is already full, there's no room for anything new to be poured in. But if you empty your cup, if you let go of old patterns and attachments and the constant mental fullness of chasing and acquiring, you create space to receive. This is the paradox. Emptiness is fullness. When you empty yourself of all the grasping and clinging and desperate pursuit, you become full of presence, of peace, of openness to receive what life wants to give you. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop engaging with life. It means you engage from a different place. Instead of frantic doing driven by fear and lack, you act from inspired being driven by love and abundance. Your actions are no less engaged, they're just sourced differently. They come from fullness rather than emptiness, from giving rather than taking, from expression rather than desperate acquisition. And actions that come from this place are far more effective, more creative, more aligned with what wants to emerge through you. Simplicity is another aspect of this shift from chasing to attracting. The more you recognize your inherent wholeness, the less you need external things to complete you. You start to see through the cultural programming that constantly tells you that you need more, that you need the next thing, that you're not enough without this product or that achievement. You discover that having less can actually mean experiencing more because you're not weighed down by possessions and obligations and the maintenance of all the things you've acquired. Simplicity creates space, and in that space, life can flow more easily. Think about your living space. Is it cluttered with things you've acquired over years, most of which you don't use or even really want anymore? Each of those things represents energy, attention, maintenance. When you simplify, when you let go of excess, you free up energy. You create physical and psychological space. And in that space, you can breathe more easily, think more clearly, be more present. The same is true for your schedule, your commitments, your mental space. Simplifying isn't about deprivation. It's about recognizing what's essential and letting go of the rest so you can fully appreciate and engage with what matters. Compassion is another quality that naturally arises as you shift from chasing to being. When you're in desperate chase mode, you're so focused on your own needs and lack that you don't have much bandwidth for others. But when you recognize your own wholeness, when you're not constantly preoccupied with what you're lacking, you naturally become more available to see and respond to others with kindness and understanding. Compassion isn't something you need to force or perform. It flows naturally from a heart that's no longer contracted in desperate self-concern. And as you extend compassion to others, recognizing that they too are struggling with their own chasing and lack, with their own suffering and confusion, something softens in you. You become more patient, more understanding, more forgiving. You see that everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness and resources they have. This doesn't mean you accept mistreatment or don't have boundaries, but it means you respond to others with more humanity, with more heart. And that quality of compassion, of seeing others clearly and responding with kindness, that's magnetic too. People feel seen and valued around you, and they naturally want to be in your presence. Self-compassion is equally important. So much of our chasing is driven by a harsh inner critic that tells us we're not enough, that we need to do more, be more, achieve more to be worthy. But what if you extended the same compassion to yourself that you would to a dear friend? What if you acknowledged your inherent worth not as something you need to earn through achievement, but as your birthright simply because you exist? This shift from self-criticism to self-compassion is transformative. When you stop being at war with yourself, when you accept yourself as you are while still being open to growth, you relax. And in that relaxation, in that self-acceptance, you become more magnetic because you're no longer radiating the contracted energy of self-judgment and inadequacy. All of these practices and shifts, from chasing to embodying, from lack to abundance, from doing to being, from grasping to allowing, they're not separate techniques to master one by one. They're all expressions of the same fundamental shift in consciousness. They all point back to the same truth. You are already complete. You already have within you everything you need. The peace, the love, the joy, the abundance you're seeking. They're not out there waiting to be captured. They're in here, waiting to be recognized and embodied. And the moment you stop looking outside yourself for completion and start looking within, the moment you shift from chasing to being, everything begins to align. This is the law of attraction that Buddhism understood thousands of years before it became a modern concept. But it's not about visualizing and manifesting through mental techniques. It's about becoming the energy you wish to experience. It's about embodying the qualities you desire. It's about living from abundance rather than lack. When you make that shift internally, when you change your energetic frequency from chasing to attracting, from need to wholeness, the external world responds. Not through magic, but through the simple truth that you're no longer blocking flow with desperate grasping. You're open, receptive, magnetic. And the beautiful thing is that what you attract when you're in this state is truly aligned with you. When you're chasing from desperation, you often attract things that aren't actually right for you. Relationships that are based on neediness rather than genuine connection. Opportunities that look good on paper, but don't align with your authentic self. But when you're attracting from wholeness, what comes to you is aligned with who you truly are. The right people, the right opportunities, the right experiences naturally find their way to you because you're no longer forcing or manipulating. You're simply being yourself and allowing life to bring you what's meant for you. If this teaching resonates and you want to continue exploring how to embody these principles in your daily life, please subscribe to this channel. I share Buddhist wisdom every week that can help you shift from the exhausting chase to the magnetic power of being. Your presence in this community is valued, and I'm grateful to be walking this path alongside you. Now for the secret I promised, the one shift that transforms you from chaser to attractor. Here it is. The secret is realizing that what you're chasing is already within you. Every quality you're pursuing externally, peace, love, joy, abundance, wholeness, exists within you right now. You've been chasing them outside yourself, which is why you haven't found them. But the moment you turn your attention inward, the moment you start cultivating these qualities within yourself, you stop chasing and you start radiating. And what you radiate, you attract. Stop chasing peace and become peaceful. Stop chasing love and become loving. Stop chasing happiness and cultivate joy within. Make this shift from external pursuit to internal embodiment, and watch how your entire life transforms. What you seek is seeking you, but it can only find you when you stop running and become still enough to recognize it's been inside you all along. That's the secret. That's the shift. That's how you stop chasing and start attracting.